All right, we are all coffeeed and prayed up. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston. I am Rev G, and we are here, and I am going to get us started with Michael Gott, who is going to tell us to release. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Woo!
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, gotta let it go. Gotta let it all go. Are you listening? You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release. I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Do you want to be free? Then let me hear you say yes. Yes, I'm only here for God. I know.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston, as we muddle through more technical difficulties, but we too will make this work. So,
The adventure
wonderful.
continues.
The adventure continues. All right. And we have no complaints about sound, so I'm assuming everyone at home can actually hear us, and that's wonderful. And let's go ahead and get into, well, let me just say who we are. We are Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston. You can actually find out more about our community at cslboston.org. And that's where you'll find out more about us, our purpose statement, and who we are in the world, right? Because we know who we are. Beautiful. All right. So let's see. I think we are at a purpose statement.
I am Gina. I'm a practitioner, and I am blessed to be in service here with you today. And we have our purpose statement, which is living a limitless life we see through the eyes of love.
Together we reach our highest potential as a light in the Northeast and the world.
And together we say, living a limitless life, I see through the eyes of love.
Individually, I reach my highest potential as a light in the Northeast
and the world.
and the world. That is. Rev Ed, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear us. There may be some technical difficulties. Again. All right.
There's comments on the side.
There are comments. Indeed, there are.
I think everybody can hear, but I don't think he can.
I don't think Rev Ed can hear us. Okay, so
well, I would love to pray us in.
All right, Gina, I will.
So
I will have you do that. Absolutely. So, all right.
I am in this place of knowing all is well. I am blessed and in this joyous place of knowing that regardless of any seeming disconnect, there is and can never be one. There is only spirit, there is only love. And knowing that truth, that harmony, I know all is well. And in that, right here, right now, with this blessed family that I am surrounded by, both in person and virtually, I bring us into this space of spirit, as spirit, with spirit, knowing there is only one. And that purest, highest knowingness that is all good and only good is right where I am, right where each one is. Each one is that love, that harmony. And I know that this celebration that is both given by, for, and as spirit can only be good. I know that the joy that is in my heart, the love that is overflowing to the point of tears for each one in this blessed community is the love of spirit as the beloved for the beloved. Knowing that there is good and only good, and in joyful expectation of all that is flowing effortlessly and easily to come, I celebrate it and say amen. And together we say, and so it is.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, let's see. Well, let's go into what Ernest Holmes told us we believe. Let us get that up on the screen. So in 1928, someone asked Ernest Holmes, what do we believe at Center for Spiritual Living? Well, back then we were religious scientists. At a Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston, or a Center for Spiritual Living. And he came up with these statements of truth. This is the seventh one of the 11 that we have, and that they're actually our guiding principles. So this is what he said we believe. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. And I'd like to go to the I statement so that we can all deepen this for ourselves. So let's all read this together. I believe in the direct revelation of truth through my intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. I love that.
So spirit is right where we are.
Spirit is indeed right where we are. Absolutely. Absolutely.
In Medford, Mass.
In Medford, Mass. That's right.
And exactly where everyone is, whether it be on
Exactly
your
where we
couch.
need to be.
Absolutely.
It is all very, very good. So our spiritual reading this morning, our spiritual reader got kicked out. So I think we will have to forego our spiritual reading this morning and move on to our next step, which actually was supposed to be a song. But I think I can lead you in this song. Some of you know this song. So let's begin this song. It's actually I Woke Up This Morning. Do you guys remember that song? My computer's back on. Oh, is Ed back on? Oh,
He
well,
is.
let's see if we can get a reading from him. Rev Ed, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I keep getting kicked out, so I should probably remove myself.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay,
He's on mute.
we can't hear you. Oh, you know what? It's the connection. So we actually are not able to hear you because we're having technical difficulties on our end. So we will have to forego our reading this morning. So I thank you for being there with us, but we will not be able to do it because for some reason we can't hear here. They can hear online, but we cannot hear you here. So
Okay, so I will bow out then at this point, so that maybe
and I can't hear you, but that's okay. All right, thank you, Rev Ed. I appreciate it. The wrong way. There we go. All right. Okay, so now I don't have the slides for this available, but I know you guys will be able to do this. So, woke up this morning with my mind it was stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind it was stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind it was stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm walking and talking with my mind it is stayed on spirit. Walking and talking with my mind it was stayed on spirit. Walking and talking with my mind it was stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm singing and praying with my mind it was stayed on spirit. Singing and praying with my mind it was stayed on spirit. Singing and praying with my mind it is stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. One more. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Awesome acapella, guys. Yes, fantastic.
Especially for not knowing you're going to throw us in there.
I know. I mean, well, you guys know this, right? You've sung this so many times at the center.
I have a reading.
You do have a reading.
I have a reading because it's what I do.
Awesome.
I was born, I'm a Girl Scout at heart.
Awesome. Well, let's do a spiritual reading.
And it's called, the poem is Listen. It's one of my poems and it's called Listen. This busy life travels many directions. There is always so much to do. Commitments to family, friends, and work seem to never be through. I want to change the chaos of each day, but unsure how to. All my hobbies and fun never seem to be gotten to. I swear tomorrow I'll get to the beach, but that day never comes. Soon I will relax and unwind for a few, but each day only brings more to do. My heart stirs with passion. My calling pierces through. Be still and listen. is what I am asked to do. Knowing fills me when my mind is still. Divine mind within me, always helping me through. In quiet, simple, but anxious, my mind knows not what to do. Stillness embraces me, allowing spirit to come through. This connection enlightens me, a light all can see. Speaking only of truth, I must simply be. I struggle to understand more and eventually recognize my heart is the door. I open my heart to the love of divine, fully receiving all the love I find. It was never as clear as this moment for me. Whenever I give out, must return to me. It is God's love overflowing through me. And so it is.
So it is. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Gina. I am so grateful for your
I'm like a
ability to move on the fly, as we do around here, right?
You know, that's
We
been
all
my
move
life.
on
We
the
go with the
fly.
flow,
We
and
go
that's
with the
but that's
flow.
what life is. Because if we get too caught up in the way it's supposed to be,
Exactly.
the beauty can't blossom.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. So, everyone, my talk this morning is actually awesome, so I hope you're ready for something awesome. You guys ready for something awesome out there? Yes. All right. Okay, well, we, of course, are following the 2021 theme of Centers for Spiritual Living, which is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. And my talk this morning is, our July theme is, of course, Pulled by Vision. And we've been being pulled all this month. Would you guys agree? We're always being pulled by, we've been pulled by vision, absolutely. And today's talk is stayed on spirit, like the song we just sang, right? Keeping ourselves stayed on spirit, no matter what appears to be happening around us. And certainly this morning, Rev G has had lots of things happening around him to keep him off balance, but it's still, I stayed on spirit. I remain back in the place that I want to be. And that is what is so, so important. So this is what I want to say. Ernest Holmes tells us this. He says, we are in the water of infinite life as the fish is in the ocean. The spirit of life is all around us. It flows through us. It permeates everything. Wow. So this brings up a story for me. The story is, and some of you may have read this story as kids. It's a kid's story. It's about a fish who was looking for water. A fish that was looking for water and was not complete and had to find this water. Looked here and looked there and looked everywhere for this water. Right? Kept looking for the water. And finally, at one point, he was so exasperated, he swam with all of his might and pushed himself up and out of the water and into the air. And all of a sudden, he couldn't breathe. And he realized as he fell into the water, he said, wait a minute. I'm in the water. Is that not like you and me? When we are living in this place of human experience, are we not like that fish looking for the water? Spirit is all around us, right? In us, as us, through us, in and as and through everything. So it's up to us to remember that. We need to remain stayed in spirit. And that is the important thing to realize. So Ernest Holmes also says, you are free as your thought. You never deal with conditions, you deal with mind. You deal with mind. So we are not dealing in the condition. What happens when we get stuck in the condition? Doesn't everything kind of like get wacky, out of control? We don't know what's happening around us. And it's like, but if we can turn back, if we can bring ourselves back into spirit, where we want to be. So we could say that spirit and mind are the same thing. Would you agree with me? Spirit and mind are the same thing. Because it is the great mind, the capital M mind, that we want to connect with. And so we say spirit because spirit sounds good to us, maybe from our spiritual or our religious past. But it's so easy to say, I want to remain stayed with spirit. I want to remain connected with spirit. Spirit or mind, it doesn't matter what we call it. It matters that we use it all the time, that we're always living in it. So if they are the same thing, and if indeed we are surrounded by spirit, we are also channels of spirit. Now, when I think of channels, the thing that comes to me is, channels, right? That they use to water and irrigate our crops. In many places, that's how they irrigate, is they have these channels. And we are a channel of spirit. You and me and everyone is a channel of spirit. We are not the source. So the water pours down those channels, but you'll notice there's something pouring the water into those channels. When I look at that, I like to think of, or even the one where the water's pouring down and pouring into the channels, I like to think of that as that is our source. The source is ever available. That pipe that you see there pouring the water into those channels for that lettuce, that is the power of spirit, and it's constantly pouring into us as a channel. But we have to remember it. We have to come back and say, yes, I want to be that channel. And if I am in the condition, can I be that channel? No, I can't. Because what happens when I'm in the condition, what happens? I am stuck in the condition, the effect, and not in the actual cause. The cause is what I have to find. So, like, if the channels aren't working right, many times the farmer will take his shovel and fix them. That's our spiritual practice. We are fixing those channels. We are always fixing that channel so that it can pour into us and we can be more of what we're meant to be in the world, which is the light, right? We are the light. And we have to be that light, so we have to do our spiritual practices. So I love this that Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda reminds us of this. I believe I'm in the right one, but I might be wrong. Actually, no. There's one more by Ernest Holmes. There is a center in you that already knows. Develop the consciousness that flows from the center, for it is the secret place of the Most High within you. That's what our spiritual practice does. It develops that consciousness, brings us back to center, brings us back to where we want to be. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda, who was actually a friend of Ernest Holmes, they used to have dinner together. He was a big yogi, the self-realization center, but they used to have dinner together because they were people, they were contemporaries, so they knew each other. And so God, he said this, God is just behind my reason today and every day, and is guiding me to do the right thing always. So if I'm not connected to that divine source, to that substance, to that energy, am I receiving guidance? Am I? We're missing it. Probably. If I'm not connecting with the divine source, then I usually miss the guidance. Yeah, I miss it. I miss where I'm supposed to be. Now we go on to talk about other things as well. So when we talk about channels, there's all kinds of different channels in our life. Would you agree? There's the channel of my job, or there's the channel of my Social Security check, or there's the channel of all the different things that, wherever we are in our life journey, relationships, people we know, our community here at CSL Greater Boston, all of these things are a part of channels that are in our life. But we need to remember that those channels are not our source. We have to remember that those channels are not our source. Our source is always, always the one infinite mind, spirit, universal intelligence, whatever name we call it. We have to remain in that place of knowing that. So that is the important and powerful thing for all of us to realize. So it seems at times that we look at things in the world. We look at what seems right and what seems wrong, right? Right and wrong. We were all raised that way, weren't we? Our parents told us this is right, that's wrong. And anytime we didn't do what they said, it was wrong, right? We all went through that to some degree. And the thing about judgment, when we get into that place, because right and wrong is making a judgment. If we believe that spirit is good and only good, and that everything that God is what we see, experience, everything around us, then we have to get to a place of realizing that the divine doesn't know or experience these things that we may call evil, error, being out of alignment, whatever it is. It doesn't know those things, because if it did, then we would have a dual God. So we have to have this presence that is so pure and so perfect that it sees beyond anything. And so when we think about that, we think about this is our only source and substance and supply. And we decide that we're going to make a decision about what is right and what is wrong. You know, and certainly there are things that we do in life that it makes sense for us to think about, well, if I'm going to hurt someone else, then I'm probably out of alignment with the divine truth anyway. So right and wrong is something that's more of a discernment than a judgment. Because when we judge something, you know, Jesus, the master teacher, said this, and he gave us guidance when it comes to judgment. And I love this. And this probably comes from King James, because it's that funny language that I remember, because I read the King James Bible many times in my life. Judge not, that ye not be judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. Now, that's a fancy way of saying that don't judge unless you're ready to be judged, because the judgment that you cast will be the judgment that you receive back. Metaphysically, we are talking about that when I make a judgment, when I make that judgment, I am claiming that in the universe, and the universe says, I love you, and gives it to us. So we receive that judgment back. Then we have the opportunity to move into discernment when that happens, right? Our spiritual practices help us to move through these appearances of judgment that we get into. And that's the power of it. So if we talk about all of that, we want to say, like, I don't want that in my life. Yuck. Who needs that? Who needs to experience my anger, my frustration, and all of those things? Because they all come back to me. So I'm at a place of discernment. How do I want to show up in the world? How am I going to let this situation affect me? So we're always at that place. And our spiritual practice is what makes that happen, is where we find that way. Now, you may say to me that, oh, you know, I have all these spiritual practices, and it seems like when this crap comes up in my life, I keep going there, right? I keep going to that place. Well, if I keep going to that place, then maybe I need to look for new spiritual practices. Maybe there's something out there that I'm missing. And that's time for me to talk about today, later, that I am going to be teaching a class with a new spiritual practice that some of you may have not experienced in your life. It comes from Emma Curtis Hopkins, and it is a powerful spiritual practice that has made huge and phenomenal shifts in my life using the spiritual practice. And for those of you at home, you can join us on the fellowship link, which we'll give you later, and you can join us in that wonderful workshop about finding out what we're living, what we want to live, and how to open to spirit. So those are the things that are going to be offered later today. So, of course, you got to get that little plug in there. So when I get into judgment, do I need to think about our core concept of forgiveness? Do I need to think about it's time for me to forgive, not the other person, but myself for being in judgment, right? Who are we the hardest on in our life? Ourselves. We're always kicking our own butts. Why? That's the beauty of our teaching. We have this opportunity to go into forgiveness. Because if I go into forgiveness and I forgive myself, then what happens? I've opened the channel, another channel, to the possibility of growing into a greater me, being the divine expression in form, and being stayed on spirit, being stayed on the divine mind, being stayed on that power. Now, the master teacher, Jesus, said that, we forgive 70 times 7. That's a lot. And it brings to mind, I love Edwene Gaines. Edwene Gaines is a unity minister who is a powerful prosperity guru, I'll call her. Her whole ministry has been prosperity. And she talks about her story of forgiveness. And when she read the Bible and she saw the 70 times 7, she took it literally. So she would actually sit down. She said, I'm going to do this. She wrote that she sit down and 190 times, because I totaled it up, 190 times she would write, I forgive blank so-and-so for blank. She would fill in those, and she would write that 490 times. Now, we don't have to do that. We don't have to go that far. But we do have to forgive ourselves and be honest about forgiving ourselves. That's the power of it. And when I forgive myself, I am then opened to receive more from Spirit. I am open to receive that greater gift. So it's very important that for us to be the channel of the divine flow, that is what we are meant to be. That is what we're meant to experience. The divine flow of abundance, the divine flow of peace, the divine flow of clarity and guidance, the divine flow of everything. And it's all available to us. But we have to keep ourselves stayed on Spirit. Then we become the channel of the divine. So this week, what I'm going to ask you to do, you know what? I want to share one quick thing because this is so powerful and I think this is so true of our life in this experience. Michael Bernard Beckwith says this, as long as you are on the planet, you are here to deliver your gifts, your talents, and your skills with confidence and inner authority, withholding nothing. Why is it important to stay stayed on Spirit? Right there. That's why we need to stay stayed on Spirit, because we all have gifts that we bring. We all bring something. And we have to remember, some of them may bring more than others. It doesn't matter. Each one has a gift to bring. Everyone has a gift to bring. It reminds me of when I used to work with the special needs camp that they used to have in my area. And in the special needs camp, these kids were treated as though they were normal kids in a situation where normally they're not, because they all had special needs. And I remember doing mime for them. And I remember watching their eyes light up. And I remember feeling the love that I don't feel from everybody in the world. Has anyone ever worked with special needs? Have you ever been around them and that loving energy that just oozes from them? That's their gift. So we get out of that idea of judgment. Oh, those poor kids. Oh, they aren't poor kids. They're perfect just as they are. And the divine is expressing as them. Because the divine doesn't make that discernment that if I can't walk or talk or move or do this just right, that I'm not good enough. The divine doesn't do that. We do. So again, going into forgiveness, freeing ourselves of the limited ideas. So this week, what I'm going to ask everyone to do is to let us be the channels of the divine flow in the world. Can you do that? And we're going to remember that there is only one source, one substance, and one supply, and that is spirit, right? Mind, I don't care what you call it, that one source, that one substance that's giving throughout the week. And when you find yourself in judgment, quickly forgive yourself and move on to be that divine flow in the world. Namaste. And so let us pray. Let us pray. And I would just love to set a tone here with our prayer. I'm going to begin with just ringing the beautiful bowl here that allows us to center ourselves. Let it invite you into the silence, into that perfection, into that wholeness, into that completeness that is expressing in and as and through us right here and right now. For I know that there is only one power, one infinite source, one substance, one creative intelligence, and one loving presence that is all peace and joy and perfection and wholeness and clarity and guidance and creativity. So many other wonderful words that express what is given, this free gift of this universal one that I call the Mother, Father, God. I recognize that right now it is absolutely expressing as me in this moment. All that I am, all that I experience, and all that I feel is experienced right here and right now as me, in me, and through me, for it is expressing as me. And as I know that about myself, I know that it is expressing in each and every one who is here in this room, in the live Sunday celebration, and each and every one who is watching on Facebook, and each and every one throughout the cosmos. For this one infinite good, this one universal power is always giving of itself to and as and through everything. It is even giving through that which I may have judged as being less than. For that is what it does. It gives of itself to everything. And right now I open to this oneness and speak this word right here and right now for each and every one to feel and know that they are indeed a channel of the divine flow in the world. And that they can remember that this spirit is their source as they move through and as and in everything, each and every one. And I know that each one, as judgment comes up, will move to that place of loving forgiveness and loving of self, and allows spirit to absolutely bring forward its divine flow again through each one. So grateful for all of these gifts and more that I know are already given in this moment. Grateful for those who may have a call in their heart for a request for prayer, that I know that this divine energy has already received it, accepted it, know it is so, and made it so. And so in gratitude and thanksgiving for all of the good that I know is already provided and more, I let all of this be in joy and peace and ease and grace. For it is the divine absolute good that is being given right here and right now. And so I can just trust the law. I can trust the law of mind that receives this word, acts upon it, and through its wondrous and glorious alchemy, makes it so. And so I say, make it so, number one. I know it is done. I know it is fulfilled. I say, blessed be, amen, ashe, aho. And together we say, and so it is. So I just want to thank everyone. I want to acknowledge all of the wonderful people who have joined us online. I'm so grateful for that. And I would just ask now if we could do our affirmation.
Hello. I wanted to make sure that Rev G had the full spotlight. And together we affirm.
Yes.
I allow
spirit to fill me to overflow, revealing divine truth.
And again, together we say,
I allow spirit to fill me to overflow, revealing divine truth. Yes. Love it. And so it is. Absolutely.
And our giving statement?
Yes, our giving statement. As we move into our place of circulation in the universe, in this case, we are circulating our abundance. And so let's read this together. Can everyone see that? I can actually make it bigger, I think. It's not working. Can everyone see that from there? Not very well. All right. Where's the full screen? All right. So just listen to it and take it into your hearts as I read it out loud. Sharing our gifts. It is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am grateful. Yes. Beautiful. So now I just want to remind everyone at home of ways to give to us, as we will be circulating our gifts here live. And that is that we can text GIVE and the amount to 833-581-0669. Or you can go to paypal.me/CSL Boston. If you do that in your browser, it should take you to our site. You can also go into our website, cslboston.org, and just click the donate button, and that will take you right to our Facebook page that our wonderful website is so beautifully getting updated and cleaned up and working beautifully. So we accept these gifts in gratitude and joy, and just know that all is well. Perfect. All right. Well, how about some announcements?
We have this wonderful workshop this morning. And the one thing I'd love to say is that plan for the last one of every month. The last service of every month, we're going to have a workshop right after it. You want to be here in person because there's always wonderful food. So by all means, come and have fellowship with us. Not just the wonderful message of the service, but in the workshop and coming together as a community, but breaking bread together and being in that sacred space as well. Lovingly getting to really connect in a wonderful way. And then to have this wonderful workshop on mysticism, miracles, and manifestation. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want more of that in life? And I'm going to let you tell them a little bit more about it because, of course, you're leading it. So by all means, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Yes.
But I do encourage people to be part of. Plan, mark it down on your calendar next month. The last one of every month, we are here with wonderful different topics and fellowship as well.
Great opportunities. Absolutely. And so today, and this will also be available online. So we will be bringing people in from Zoom. I know that we have several of our community members reached out to me to find out. And I do know some people are actually showing up later today to join us for the workshop. So we're definitely have a lot of folks coming in. You can join us in the fellowship link, which we will put up later for you if you are online. Again, we are asking for a suggested love offering of $20. And we would welcome that, being given. And you can give through the different ways that we showed earlier for those who are at home and who are not here live with us. So let's go on to this one. Soar.
And this, of course, is our conference to come together for a spiritual retreat. CSL.org has the information again, spiritualretreat.csl.org. Rise, reemerge, and renew.
Yes.
And that is the 13th through the 14th. So it is coming up very quickly.
Very soon.
And they're wonderful events. And this is a wonderful opportunity because they're usually in person. So if you haven't had the opportunity to actually be at one, this is your way to put your toe in the water and really feel the love online, virtually, to make you really want to be there in person and feel that warmth of those hugs. Because by the time we're meeting again, we will have those hugs.
Indeed. Yes, I believe we actually have something very big coming up in 2022,
Good stuff.
our live convention. So that's going to be awesome. So, great. And we'll just move right over here.
And our last announcement is Zoom Fellowship.
That is right.
We are here. Please join us. We'd love to see your beautiful faces. And we'd love for you to be in community with us. And of course, stay on with that as far as the workshop goes.
That's right.
You know, technology, yes, it can be frustrating at times. But the gift is we know enough to have 2 computers. So just in case, we had a backup. And life always has a backup. And that's the one thing that is important to remember. Sometimes the things that have gone completely wrong were exactly right. So letting that just be, knowing that you're going to come to Zoom with us and just enjoy. You can always find that Zoom link. It's always, of course, it's here right now. You can screenshot it, but you can also use the link that's in our weekly newsletter.
That's right.
Which, if you are not in our weekly newsletter, just go to Facebook, or our address is on the website as well.
And I believe we put it on. We put it in the website.
So it's
too.
on
Yes,
the website,
so it's on the website,
which has been newly redone.
newly
Thank you,
cleaned
Chris.
up. Chris has been
And Karen has been
helping
wonderful with helping on Facebook. And we've got
Yes.
so many people. We've got visioning every week happening now. If you'd love to vision with us and see that blossoming growth in our center on Wednesday evenings, the link is also in the newsletter. So no, you can come and join us, because it is a wonderful pool to play in, I tell you.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. So I want to thank everybody this morning for coming together live and online. And I am just so grateful for this day. And I want to say, have a beautiful and blessed day. And together we say, Namaste.
Blessings and love.